Well, I will look the camera in the eye and say why I am supporting this agreement. I think there's only one common thing that is agreed upon here in the House and in the Senate, is that we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. If the U.S. were to walk away from this deal and say we want to go back to the table, they will be sitting in an empty room, and the only people at the table will be U.S. representatives. There will not be any other nations from Europe, Russia, or China, and Iran won't be at the table either. This is a deal that is not perfect. Sure, it's far from perfect. But it does, they say, well, Iran could become a nuclear threshold state again in 10 or 12 years because of the way this agreement's written. If we walk away today, they are a nuclear threshold state, and they will build a bomb, and they'll have it within 3 or 4 months. Then what? Well, we do have options, of course. They're being recommended by Dick Cheney, John Bolton, and Benjamin Netanyahu, all who were cheerleaders for the Iraq War and who were oh so wrong about the greatest foreign policy mistake in the history of the United States of America. But they learned nothing from that, and they think yet another war in the Mideast is a better solution than this. Now, what does Iran give up? 2/3 of its centrifuges. They are allowed to keep the oldest, most primitive centrifuges. 97% of its enriched uranium stockpile will be gone. Their mine sites will be monitored 24/7. Their mill sites for uranium will be monitored 24/7. There'll be an intrusive inspection regime. They have to fill in the core of the nearly finished Iraq reactor, which can take them on the plutonium path to a bomb, with concrete and convert that to peaceful uses. Natanz underneath the mountain that some would have us bomb. Unfortunately, it is underneath the mountain. That will become a medical facility monitored 24/7. No, that's Fordo, excuse me, not Natanz. And yet we hear the drumbeat for war over here. They don't want to say they want to have a war, but that's the ultimate conclusion. If you don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, this is the best deal we can get. And we amazingly got this deal with the support of Russia and China and 4 nations in Europe. Now, they're already flooding into Iran in anticipation of this deal going forward. They have no intention of going back to the table. Chinese want the oil. Russians want to sell them weapons. The planes have been totally full coming out of Europe with high-level corporate executives wanting to go into Iran and do business. No, this is the only alternative before the United States Congress, and the only one that can prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon in the short term. Yeah, 12, 15 years down the road, we may have to deal with this again. Then again, 12 or 15 years from now, under this regime, perhaps Iran will have changed. We will see. So I am proud of this vote, and I think it's the best path. I'm also incredibly proud of my vote against popular opinion and such sagacious people as Dick Cheney, John Bolton, and Benjamin Netanyahu about invading Iraq, which has turned the Middle East into an unbelievable mess that will not be undone in my lifetime. ISIS, basically a product of the Iraq war and invasion by the U.S. So let's not create even worse problems. Let's take this imperfect agreement, but let's take it because it prevents Iran from having a nuclear weapon and having a weapons race in this incredibly unstable part of the world. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Oregon yields. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kansas,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yoder, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today